Welcome to today's episode of the AI Trailblazer podcast. Today we have a very exciting guest. He is Alon from Bazaar AI. So before we start, we are Convert Inbox and we partner with B2B software companies to grow their business and revenue to the next level. So if you are a B2B software or AI software founder or CEO and you want to take a business to the next level, just drop us the word growth in the DMs below if you want a free growth consultation. So without further ado, we have Alon today. Alon, it is a pleasure to have you on today. So let's start off with, maybe a bit about your journey and why you decided to start Bazaar AI.
Amazing. So thank you very much for having me, Bruce. So a little bit about me. I came from a background of the army. I've been a naval officer for more than 8 years. This is also where I met my co-founders. I was a battleship commander. I've been there through a lot. I think it really enhanced my entrepreneurial journey as it enabled me or teach me how to be persistent and enhance my resilience in terms of the struggles you have to go through in the entrepreneur journey. Afterwards, I went on and created my own line of brands, which are private labels. So I sourced in China, created them from scratch, my IP, my brand, and shipped and sold them here in the United States. I created a total of 5 brands, one of them which I sold to a bigger European aggregator. I exited it. Very exciting times, and in the same sentence, I learned a lot about the problems in the industry that revolves around procurement, most specifically. And since I'd say I'm younger than the industry average, it led me to realize that I'm here to change things, and it led me um, to think about a better and more efficient way to transact, which is Bazaar AI, essentially, an agent that creates deals between wholesalers and retailers here in the US.
Nice. Yeah. So we can just sort of segue into that already. Like, what does Bazaar AI do? What kind of problem is it trying to solve for what target audience? Maybe you could share more on that.
Right. So we are all very familiar with the consumer side, right? We are all consumers, and product that started every product that we purchase as a consumer started its way through a B2B sale, right, in the supply chain. Now, what we don't know usually is the process that needs to be done in order for the product to land on Amazon, for example. And today, the procurement process between those businesses, wholesalers, which are the distributors and importers of the products, and the retailer, which is the storefront to us, the consumers, is highly fragmented. So this means that in order to craft one deal, it takes 3 months on average, and a lot of manual processes, like micro manual processes inside, such as sorting an Excel sheet, enriching the data by yourself, like going on and do your own research, and finally realizing how much you need to buy from a certain product. So this takes on average 3 months, and usually, because of the time period, the products are excess. It's called excess inventory. And when inventory stands, there's a high cost tied to it, such as opportunity cost, handling, warehousing, etc. And this costs $700 billion a year for those wholesalers. So, in other words, what Bazarr is trying to bring to the world is a modern and consolidated way to transact in a way that a deal will take only minutes and not months.
That's great. Yeah, sounds like you're solving a really big problem for the procurement industry, and then you're doing it in a very significant way as well. Like taking the average deal making period from 3 months down to what, a few hours? Very
So,
fast.
yeah,
A few
so,
minutes.
so a few minutes,
A
correct?
few minutes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe let's touch a bit right now on your role within the company, Alan, and then how it fits into the bigger picture at Bazaar AI.
Mhm. Sure. So I'm the CEO of the company, a co-founder and a CEO. It is important for me to differ between the two because I think that a co-founder is a whole lot more than your role. It's a mentality of pushing boundaries and being resourceful and creating opportunities which is not tied directly to your role. So this is part of being a co-founder. And more specifically, my job as a CEO is basically tell the story to the world. And it comes practically in three ways. First is to investors who fund the company and enable the progress and the growth. The second one is for the customers, which, before Bazarr, there wasn't Bazarr. So my job is to tell a compelling story that tells their like the pain point and why we answer it in a very straightforward and precise way. So they will onboard themselves to the platform. And three is internally. So basically, bringing the best people. It's like a basketball team, right? You need the best team in order to win the basketball game. And my job is to bring the right people to the mission and align them with the company big, greater vision, step by step, in order to reach the broader and far vision.
Nice. That's awesome. So we briefly touched on this, but what would you say are the main goals for the company, let's say within the next 6 to 12 months? What sort of story do you want to tell in terms of growth?
Yeah, so currently, actually, I say we're in the most exciting times of the company. So we raised a pre-seed round, which is the first funding round for those who don't know. It allowed us to create the founding team. So right now we build everything internally. We have both the operations and the technical side already in the team. And with the initial traction that we gained, so we ran a pilot, a POC, with several distributors and around 40 retailers. And we made deals of $3 million in a time span of 2 months. And the mission is very clear. In the next 12 months, we are going to grow to the levels of 400,000 ARR, give or take. I'd love, let's say, to break through and even create more. But this is like a realistic benchmark. And with that, go on for the next funding round and expand like a startup should.
Nice. That's awesome. So what kind of obstacles or roadblocks are you facing in terms of reaching your next goals? For example, now that you raised the pre-seed round, what do you anticipate are challenges that you might face when trying to raise the seed round?
I think it's the main challenge in our industry, and I think this would also create the moat around our industry. Being a low tech and old fashioned um, oriented users, there needs to be market education, right? It's a pill that is not easy to swallow, bringing in AI all at once and believing that the software can really change your whole business. Like you used to handle and fulfill orders using pen and paper or endless Excel sheet, and you think, this is how I work, this is what I know to do. And those guys, those business owners, they've been in the business for 20 to 40 years, right? Those really experienced traders. And all of a sudden comes this young guy and he tells you that you can do things 10x more efficiently, right? So, sounds like a dream. So our mission is to educate gently, I say, in a way that people will trust the software. And I know it sounds like dramatic, but yes, that you will be able to trust an agent that serves as a broker, and you don't have to be hands-on the deal, and you can get deals done. Like it can get a deal done for you. So I think the main barrier for the seed will be to gain those around 400 retailers that believe in the software. But from the 40 that we see that we have, I believe it's achievable. I believe we will find them and it will enable the organic growth towards the seed.
Nice. So it's all about just trying to overcome. It's mainly like a mental limiting self-belief that, you cannot automate all of this with AI. It will have to be done using pen and paper or Excel sheets. But now
That,
you're showing them a new way to do so that they may not 100% believe.
correct. And there's a saying that I love to share. Um, it's saying that, like, as humans, I mean, we are not everybody is a chef, but once giving a dish, everybody is a food critic. So what I mean by that is that usually people cannot vision or cannot believe in something, but once you provide them and they have a sense of it and they use it, so then they have their own critic about it. Either they love it or hate it, but once you show them it, so they might adopt it, and it changes the way they think.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate when it comes to AI in general right now. People don't believe in it at all until they see it. And I think ChatGPT was like the revolutionary moment where they started believing a lot more was possible with AI. So yeah, that's a good analogy. So now let's touch a bit on what are some of the key growth drivers for your business right now. What kind of, for example, channels have you been relying on, strategies you have been relying on to really accelerate the growth to get you to where you are now, which is pre-seed, and then also on to the next stage, which is the seed round.
Yeah, so our main channel is through affiliation. So in our industry, the word of mouth and the connections are the strongest source, which is trust. So it is very hard, let's say, to market through performance marketing, but is relatively easy once you are connected to the right people to deliver it to their own internal groups. Now, because we came from the industry, so we already have those industry leaders with us, and we they tell their own groups, which is either WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups. They either have courses sometimes, and we link it to their groups, and through that we onboard. So this is our main channel. Another very effective channel, and I say it with a smile, is founder-led sales. So right now, as I told you, I think the barrier is a market education barrier. So this needs us, the founders, to push through and tell the story of the company, and it is highly effective. I mean, our closing rate is around 50% for every two that we meet. One of them is a user of the platform. So this is exciting, and this also help the belief that we're doing something right.
Yeah, 100%. So you also mentioned something about, okay, so let's say, what would you say is your biggest priority that you want to focus on, let's say, for the next 6 to 12 months to really drive things forward? I understand you mentioned founder-led sales and high closing rates. So is that something that you want to continue to invest in moving forward, or you want to, delegate it more to your team members, for example?
Yeah. So first of all, I think that the problem inside a fragmented market is the problem to sift through the noise and really enable to focus on a very targeted group. So right now, one of the reasons we keep proceeding doing this founder-led sales is not only it's highly effective, but it also contributes to learning fast. The learning curve in startup needs to be very fast, like the understanding and focusing on a specific niche and then grow broader. So right now we're still experimenting because there are a lot of people that needs to buy wholesale. And I give you an example, all right? You might be a retailer, like a small, medium retailer that sells online, and you might be a small, medium retailer that have your own mom and pop shop, and you even might be a company that raised a Series C and wants to buy the whole company in wholesale, give them with shoes for Christmas, right? So there's a lot of nuances and a lot of groups that you can sell to as a wholesaler. And right now we're trying to aggregate them into a very, very focused target group, understand who is the most in need of help, that drive the stickiness of the product, right? So they will stay. And right now we see the small and medium businesses, the retailers that are having hard time to find distribution, like good suppliers, good deals. They're still making their way up, and we find to be the most efficient currently.
Okay, got it. So that sort of ties well into our next segment, which is what are some of the broader industry trends that you are seeing when it comes to the latest technologies like AI and how it's being applied right now across the wholesaler or the retail or the procurement industry.
All right. So first of all, I'll admit that it is today it is very hard to keep up with the pace of everything. So obviously I'm going to miss because every day there's more than 10 to 20 new tools launched to the market, like general AI tools. So first of all, you really have to type of niche down and really try to find the real job that you're solving and then scan. And what I see on the market, on the tech angle of the market, is AI agents to delegate the work to those agents. So some of them focus more on the research side, like AI research for products that know to scan broad and multi marketplace. Some of them are more on the operational side. So, for example, receiving orders, or, like chatbot for emails, etc. And I have to admit that we are aiming for, let's say, the more broader solution, like not being very niche, like we're the best analysis or the best chatbot, but rather try and give the A to Z consolidated platform. So relatively, it will be the easiest to pull off a deal on the platform.
Okay, makes sense. So it's about just trying to, streamline things, make it as easy as possible for your customers, through agentic workflows. And that's likely a trend that you want to focus on as well, at least for the next couple of months, because you've been
I
seeing
want
the
to,
impact it has.
yeah, I want to add on top of that. So basically, I think that there are trend chasers and there are businesses that really tackle core challenges in the industry. Now, I think that, and I give an example, all right? When Amazon, boomed here in the United States, so there were many tools that help Amazon sellers sell, like very niche, very specific, like that brings you data, for example, right? But this is more of the trend because marketplaces go up, go down, things change, how we do things, etc., etc. And we're trying to stick with, let's say, the one job that never changes, and it's actually the transaction itself, right? I mean, in the end of the day, people in the B2B industry, in the wholesale industry, will need to buy and sell, right? This will always be, right? So we are trying to aim at the job, and the job is to make transactions. And our job is to make transactions happen the easiest way as
Yeah,
possible in the seamless way.
I see. So you really just want to focus any of the newest trends or technologies, just focus on solving that one problem. And even if the new technology is really novel, however, it doesn't really impact this part of the business, you also just wouldn't use it because it wouldn't make sense for the business or for the customer. Don't want
What
to
we
just
learned
add on
from
new features all the time.
exactly what we learned from our customers is that the problem is the fragment. Like in order to pull one deal, you have to use 5 to 8 different softwares, and it takes a lot of time. So we understood that the problem is about like those different softwares all focus on a very specific thing, but they don't have integration to the whole sequence in order to curate a deal. And we are trying to create this one arc, one consolidated place where you create a deal from A to Z.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and I can imagine the impact it would only have on these businesses. Previously, they had to rely on 5 to 8 different tools just to get things done, but now everything is streamlined into one platform. There's no longer as much manual processes like endless spreadsheets, things like that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's actually about it for the podcast interview. Alan, once again, thank you for agreeing to jump on this podcast and share your insights with our audience.
Bruce, thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure having you.
And I just want to say to everyone, keep on building, keep on pushing. The world needs what you're building.
Yeah, that's a great message to all the founders and CEOs out there. All right. Thank you, Alan.
Bruce,
Cheers.
thank you very much.